Welcome to another exciting tutorial brought to you by Digital Graphics. Today we will talk about the Indesign Swatches palette. When submitting a job to us, it is crucial that the colors you have in your final PDF are the colors you intend to print. A good place to start looking to make sure you have the correct colors is the Swatches palette. If it isn't already open, go up and click on Window, and then on Swatches. Or you can just press the F5 key. What you see listed are all the colors associated with this job that you have used in this InDesign file. The only colors that aren't listed are the colors used from links files. So if you look here, the links, that's a link file, any picture. You can see here this is an RGB picture. If you have RGB images in your InDesign file, you aren't going to know about it from looking at the swatches. So make sure you have all of your images set to CMYK beforehand. So let's take this, open it in Photoshop. Here's the original. Let's give him how about a little mustache here. And we'll make it into a CMYK picture. So now you can see it's CMYK instead of RGB. We'll close it, save it. Then when we go back to InDesign, you will see our new updated file. Ah, there he is with his nice mustache. And if you look now, the color space says CMYK. So you want to make sure on all of your photos that you have in your document that it does say CMYK and not RGB. This is InDesign CS4. In CS3 and below, this CMYK, it doesn't give you all this link information like this. You actually probably will have to check each link individually in Photoshop. That can be pretty time consuming. So it is easier just as you're going along to make sure that your files are CMYK as you're putting them in your InDesign file. Okay. So looking at these swatches can tell us a lot about our InDesign file. The first thing I recommend you do is to click the little drop down arrow here, right here, and choose Select All Unused Colors, which is right here. This will highlight all the colors in your swatches palette that aren't actually being used in your document. So as you can see here, I got 4 colors that aren't being used. You can then click the little trash can icon next to these to delete the swatches. The swatches that you'll have left are only the colors that are used in the page of your document. So you can do that, or if you want to delete them individually, you can just click on them. It'll ask you what color you want to replace the one you're deleting with, so you can just say black. So you see I deleted the yellow and I told it to replace it with black, so it ended up changing that to black. Now we need to take a look at the icons next to the name of each color. There are 2 rows of icons, each providing information that is crucial to how this color is going to be displayed. In the first column, you'll either see a gray square, such as right there, or a square with a circle inside of it, such as these 2 right here. This icon tells you if you have your color set to a process color or as a spot color. Process color is the method of using 4 inks, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, to reproduce any other color. Spot colors are actual solid color inks that match a library of colors. For example, the spot color Pantone 287C here, which is a blue, is used to make sure the color exactly matches what the customer wants. Spot colors can be used in this way for 1, 2, or 3 color jobs. If there is a variety of color involved, or color photography and art is included in the InDesign file, chances are you'll need to stick with only process colors and not spot colors. If you use a spot color in InDesign, make sure it's consistently spelled in the swatches palette or you'll end up with different versions of the same color, such as what I have here with Pantone 287 and Pantone 287C. They will show up as different spot colors even though they're supposed to be just one single color. If the swatches aren't named exactly the same, InDesign just assumes you want it as a different spot color. You should name Pantone spot colors Pantone, then the number of color, and then a letter afterwards, which is normally C. So all of your Pantone PMS colors should all be labeled like this one. So this one's actually incorrect. So what we'll do is we'll delete this, and since it wasn't used, it's not going to ask us what we want to replace it with. But if it had asked, we can just say replace it with Pantone 287C, and then that would take anything that was the Pantone 287 and replace it with the correctly named spot color here. If you're building a process job for us, which is just CMYK, you will need to convert all of your swatches over to process swatches. So if you're making a CMYK job, all your swatches should be gray and not this white with a gray circle in it. So what we would need to do is double click this. Then under color mode, instead of Pantone library, we want it to be CMYK, which is the same as process, cyan, magenta, yellow, black. And then we need to change it from color type of spot to process. When we click OK, you'll see down here that the icon changes from a square with a circle inside of it to just the gray square. So that's this first column. The second column is the column that designates if the swatch is RGB or CMYK. Since we work in CMYK, we want to make sure all of our swatches are CMYK. The easy way to tell this is if your swatch looks like this, where it's got cyan, magenta, yellow, black triangles inside of it, that's a CMYK swatch. If you look down here, we've got one that has a red, a green, and a blue bar. That's an RGB swatch. So this is one that we would have to change before making our PDF. So if you double click this, you can see under color mode it's selected as RGB. This is an easy fix. You just go from RGB to CMYK. Now if you have a dark color, like let's say you had an RGB that someone was trying to make a black, and they just happened to do something like this. That looks like a black, but it's got actually 22 of red in it. So then when you go to your CMYK, you'll see that's a horrible black right there. So what you'll want to do is you'll either want to change whatever you had that RGB swatch as and just use the black here, or just make sure that you go back in and fix your black. And you can see it changed our bar down here too that we just did. So by fixing these swatches, it eliminates problems when you export your PDF that you end up sending to us. So hopefully this tutorial helped you, and I will see you next time.